The hum of the computer fan was the only sound in my cramped apartment. Rain lashed against the windowpane, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. I'd been trawling the dark web for hours, a morbid curiosity fueling my descent into the digital abyss. I was a historical film buff, obsessed with the silent era, and the rumors I'd uncovered about a lost pre-Griffith film had been a siren song. I found it nestled deep in a labyrinth of encrypted links, labeled only as The Unseen. It was grainy, flickering, a video file no larger than a modern-day meme. I clicked, half expecting a virus, but instead, a title card appeared, The Gilded Cage. The font was ornate, gothic, and beneath it, in faded lettering, copyright 1910. I leaned closer, the familiar thrill of discovery coursing through me, quickly replaced by something cold and unpleasant. The trailer was just under a minute long, and what I saw was wrong. The footage was sharp for its age, almost unnervingly so. It began with a seemingly innocuous shot of a lavishly decorated room, all velvet drapes and gilded furniture. But then, the camera lingered on a woman standing in the center, her face a grotesque mockery of human features, the skin stretched taut, her eyes two black pits ringed by what looked like veins, a rictus grin exposing rows of unnaturally sharp teeth. I could practically smell the rot emanating from her image. The camera movement was jerky, unpredictable, cutting between close-ups of the woman and jarring, fast-motion shots of figures dancing in the background, their movements grotesque and unnatural, their limbs twisted, their smiles wide and manic. They were puppets controlled by some unseen force. The whole scene felt like a nightmare unfolding in a sepia-toned world. The music, a tinny, distorted piano tune, was the final layer of unease. It seemed to crawl up the back of his skull, a discordant symphony of dread. Elias felt a prickling sensation on his skin, his stomach churning. I wanted to stop watching, to tear my gaze away, but I was trapped, mesmerized by the gruesome spectacle. The final shot was a close-up of the woman's face. She opened her mouth, not to scream, but to emit a silent, horrifying gesture, as if she were swallowing the viewer whole, into the void behind her eyes. The screen flickered, then went black. I sat frozen, heart hammering against my ribs. I felt an acute, primal terror, unlike anything I had ever experienced. It wasn't the kind of fear movie monsters evoked. This felt like a glimpse into something forbidden, something that was not meant to be seen by human eyes. I remembered the urban legend, a whispered story from my film school days, a movie from the silent era so disturbing, so fundamentally wrong, that audiences had literally blinded themselves after seeing it. It had been dismissed as a myth, an exaggeration. But now, I tried to shake it off, to convince myself it was just a well-crafted piece of disturbing art. I closed the laptop, only to find the afterimage of the woman's face burned into his retinas. The tinny piano tune echoed in his head, a relentless loop. I tried to sleep, but the images kept flashing behind my eyelids. I could feel the cold, sticky grip of existential horror. It clawed at my face, fingers trembling. I could understand now why people had taken such drastic measures. Perhaps the blinding was a mercy compared to the endless replay in his mind. The following days were a blur of paranoia and dread. I found myself isolating, afraid to look at anything beyond a muted glow. The fear was relentless, whispering in my ears, telling me that what I'd seen had changed me, had broken something fundamental inside me. I'd witnessed something he wasn't meant to be seen. I never mentioned the video to anyone. The possibility that others could be subjected to it was too terrifying to contemplate. The images were so powerful, so deeply unsettling, that I knew, instinctively, that I was forever marked by what he had seen. The rain continued outside, a constant reminder of that night, of the dark web, and of The Gilded Cage, the film that turned eyes to dust and souls to ash. I was still alive, still seeing, but I was no longer sure if that was a blessing or a curse. I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that I was still trapped, a prisoner in my own mind, forever forced to watch the silent horror of 1910.